What if I told you that a side with a queen, 2 rooks, 2 knights, 2 bishops, and a handful of pawns about to promote would lose to a side with only 3 knights and a king? Stay tuned to find out. You are watching VIP Chess, and welcome to the most interesting puzzle of all time. I will give you a few seconds to look over the position I have on the board now. If you want more time, pause the video to study the position a bit more. Have you studied the position? If you haven't, you would probably assume, like I did, black is clearly better in this position. I mean, he does have the same amount of major pieces white does with his knight, 3 and 3. But this is a classic example of white having a positional advantage, and black getting very cramped up. In reality, white is to play and mate in 16 moves. Again, I will give you a few seconds to find the winning moves. If you want, you can get more time by pausing the video. Now it is time for us to see how white can win in 16 moves. To say it simply, white just has to force one of black's knights to move. Then, provided that white's king is safe from any unwanted checks of any sort, and white's knights haven't moved at all, white wins with either knight e4 mate or knight d5 mate. All of the king's squares are blocked by white's knights or his own pieces. The winning move depends on which knight black moves. However, here's the catch. Black can delay moving a knight for 15 end moves. His only option is to keep moving his rook on a4 to a3 and back again. White, however, counters this by strategically moving his king to block the rook from coming to a4. However, he must take the rook that stops him from getting checked. If he does get checked, white loses the game. However, when the white king does reach the b5 square, black has to move one of his pawns on e5. He can repeat this process 4 times. However, on the 5th time, black must move his a-pawn and block his rook in, or he has to lose the rook. After which, the white king simply moves back and takes the rook as a waiting move, and then black has to move his knight, and white wins the game instantly by checkmating the king. Let's look at how white can repeat this process and win the game in this position. White's first move is king e8. He brings it closer to stopping the rook from coming back to a5. However, one thing that is extremely important when solving this puzzle is that you cannot put your king in a square where it will get checked by one of black's knights. If that does happen, you lose the game because you give black the space needed to get his king to safety. Provided you won't do this, white's king would proceed king d7, king c8, king b7, king b6, and king b5. By following this combination, the white king arrives at b5 after an even number of moves. I will talk about the importance of this later on. Thus, for move 6, black must move one of his e-pawns. Now that the fact that white only used an even amount of moves to trap the rook is very important, because if he had used an odd amount, then it would have been harder for him to get his king to the square and tempo the black rook. However, now white simply has to move his king back to b5 in an odd amount of moves. I will give you a few seconds to find the quickest route that doesn't involve unwanted checks. You found the correct answer. Congratulations. The correct path and the shortest one is king b6, king b7, king c8, king d7, king e8, king f8, king f7, king e8, king b7, king c8, king d7, king d6, and now we're back to b5. Now black is forced to move his rook again. Now white simply repeats the sequence with his king. And now black has to keep pushing his pawns. White simply has to be careful not to make a mistake in his move order or run into any shift. Now, of course, we'll get a few seconds for white's position to play out and get us to the correct position. If he does this, if he makes sure to follow these rules on move 58, black can do no better and has to either lose his rook or block it in with a5. Both moves lead to ultimately the same result. If black loses the rook, the next move he will have to move one of his knights, and white mates with either knight b5 or knight e4. If black blocks in the rook, white simply moves his king back to b6, and black will have to move one of his knights, and then white mates with either knight d5 or knight e4. This gives white a brilliant mate in 60. Another thing to note is that if black does move one of his pawns earlier than he needs to, white simply continues following the same sequence with his king, and he just ends up mating more quickly. Comment below if you think you have found a quicker path or you have another idea for black. The link to this study is also in the description below if you want to analyze the game for yourself. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. If you're new to the channel, please support it by subscribing here, and you feel free to watch my previous videos there. My goal is 100 subscribers. Also, stay tuned for the Legends of Chess tournament, which I will start streaming from July 21 onwards. It will feature great players such as Carlsen, Anand, and Giri. You'll see all the games, and then you'll pick which ones you want me to analyze. Also, comment below who you're expecting to win the Legends of Chess tournament and any other ideas you have for videos. I will see you all next time.